Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with a big, beefy figure review. Today, we are going over the Marvel Diamond Select The Incredible Hulk action figure. And I've been wanting to review this Mamma Jamma for a while now. Like I said, with the move, everything was just all over the place. It was nuts! So finally being able to get him out, look at him, and just forget how beautiful this thing is. If you want to pick this one up, everywhere I looked, it sold out. I remember I picked it up at the Disney store way back when, and it was already off the cart, as you can kind of see here. So they sold it to me cheap. So I'm happy. And I'll have to say, I've seen a lot of Hulks since then. This one, by far, takes the cake. The other ones are just not as impressive to me. So you see here, the Incredible Hulk. Love the little gamma radiation, radiation symbol, gamma, because it's Hulk. Great. Anyway, we'll get into that. Marvel Select. And then you come around to the side, it's just the plastic, nothing there. Come around to the back, you get a cool product shot of him. You also get a read-up. We'll get a close-up of that for your convenience. Also the Select figures from this wave as well. I'll get a close-up so you can read that as well. Come around this way. Love that gorgeous picture of that Hulk. Very, very well rendered. Love all the veininess there and all the shadows. Just screams Hulk smash! Come back around to the front, and I have to kind of hold it because, it's off the card, so it is what it is. Nothing on the bottom, nothing on the top. So with that said, let's get the Hulk, Dr. Bruce Banner, out of his packaging and get a closer look at him. And here's the Hulk out of the packaging, and you can see you put him on the stand that he comes with, and just a massive figure that just demands that you look at him like, look at me, I'm large and in charge. I don't know. I just think this thing is absolutely beautiful. Very well sculpted. Now, again, as I say in all my reviews, with every figure you get, there are things that you're going to love and there are things that are going to drive you up the wall and frost you there. And this Hulk is no exception. Even though he is beautiful, there are some things that are just kind of like, but that's okay. You look at him and it's just such a 100% comic accurate rendition of our favorite mean green machine. So with that said, let's get him off the stand and just dive in depth with everything that this figure has to offer us. Now, some backstory on the Incredible Hulk. He was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, so heck yeah. His first appearance was the Incredible Hulk #1 from May 1962. And for those of you that just seen the movies that's come out in the last few years, the actual backstory on him is he was at an army base in the desert. Bruce Banner is getting ready to test his invention, the G-bomb, the gamma bomb. But Bruce notices a young Rick Jones on the test site. He'd come out there on a dare to the army base. So it's just kind of like, really, dude? So Bruce tries to tell his partner, wait a minute, let me go save this guy. But even though Bruce saves Rick, he's exposed to gamma rays during the detonation. So he was betrayed by his partner, Igor Drenkov, I think is how you pronounce his name. I'm not 100% sure. Feel free to make fun of me down in the comments. So at this point, he is transformed into the Hulk. And when he's subjected to emotional stress or, rage against his will and whatnot, he becomes the lean, mean fighting machine. So we have our Marvel equivalent of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Now, he was originally gray, but I believe he was immediately changed to green in issue 2. If you want to know why, Stan Lee actually had some interesting thoughts on that. So make sure to check out the backstory on why he was originally gray. He's also a founding member of the Avengers. And the Hulk, he has a long and kind of weird history. Some of the major stories that I would suggest reading are the runs by John Byrne as well as Peter David. Some other more modern awesome stories was Planet Hulk and World War Hulk by Greg Pak. And lastly, if you're a huge horror fan like myself, then might I suggest reading The Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing. That takes a lot of Hulk's original canon as well as elements of horror stories that we all love and some new ideas, and it makes you feel like you're reading something like Creepshow or Tales from the Crypt and stuff like that. It's phenomenal. I highly, highly recommend it. So with all that said, the only accessory that this character or this figure comes with is, let's kind of move Hulk out of the way here because this thing's big, one of these smash plates. And I have to admit, I'm glad for these because when you're doing photography, if you frame this just right, it looks really cool. Like, someone's getting smashed into the ground. You can see the crater there. All the nice grays and blacks and browns to make it look organic. It's hollow on the bottom. You do have feet holes, but again, you lay a character down like, let's say, Loki. It's not going to look bad. I like that they give you some concrete here. So even though this is a stand, if you're creative and you want to do photography and whatnot, or just dioramas and generals, these are always welcomed addition. I got a few of these out of an auction, so I'm glad that I now have 3, so you can kind of make more of a street scene. So great things that you can do with these. That's the only accessory. Now, let's jump into the look of this Hulk. And right off the bat, what drew me to it when I initially saw it, because at the time I was kind of not collecting action figures at the time, but what drew me in was just how big and massive he was at first. And then just the nice dark black shading here, or as I like to call it, the black dry brushing, and the look on his face. There's no like gentleness. This just screams Hulk smash. So let's kind of get a more close up on the face. There's the focus, and as you can kind of see, and my lighting here sucks, but those green eyes are just awesome. And then the teeth, the black hair, everything about his face just screams, I'm going to get you. Kind of like some Frankenstein look there, and or like I said, some Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and this thing just keeps going out of focus. I apologize for that, folks. But yeah, beautiful sculpt on the head. I love the hair work. Just looks natural, even though it's matted on there instead of like, soft hair, whatever. The greens and a little bit of the dry brushing of, I'm not sure if that's the light or me, but I think there's a little bit of yellow in there too to just kind of offset it. And then the work on the musculature here, on the veins. I mean, look at that, how they put the dry brush under there and those veins just pop. The ab work on the stomach. And then, of course, the pectoral muscles. And I forget, these are the deltoids, I think, or I forget. But anyway, just great work all around. And they made sure that it finished off on the back. And I mean, look at how this thing just hulks over like this. It just, good stuff. And of course, he has his trademark purple pants. I like how it's light here to show where it tears off of Bruce Banner. And then all the dark shading around the pants here and all the ugliness it has to offer. The tatteredness around the legs looks good. And I mean, look at the veins on the calves and the feet. Even they made sure to make the big ugly toes, make sure you get extreme close up, yuck. But great work on the feet, legs, everything about the paint apps just screams perfection when it comes to a Hulk figure that we want. So, damn, 10 out of 10 on the paint apps for me on this figure. Now, this is what I was talking about, where the figure, again, kind of goes off the rails for me. The articulation. Again, this is an older figure before Hasbro kind of really started getting fancy with how we can articulate our action figures now. This one was on the right track. So let's go ahead and start. So at the head, you can at least get him to look down that much. I wish, but because of the neck muscles, you can't get him to look up anymore, which is real frustrating. So again, that way, he does spin like that. And you get a little bit of wobbliness there. Arms, again, warm your figures up before you do anything like this. So when you have the joint under here, he can only go up so far, so he has like a monkey man look. And then, of course, you can go this way. Ouch. Yeah, these very tight joints. Owie. And that's after warming it up. But so you can get that way. And he does have the, not the bicep, but at the elbow, spin that way. Single jointed elbows. But again, older figure. Now his wrists don't articulate up and down, but they do spin 360. No ab or back crunch. Because that would have been so good. But again, older figure. But you can at least pivot him at the waist. He does have an upper thigh cut. And again, kind of like the ball joints, you can kind of see it here. But because of the ball joint here, this thing kind of spins independently, so you have to really kind of wonder. You have to really be careful. That's what I hate about these ball joints, is because trying to work them around just really irritates you. But you can get him. His legs go up about that much, and then if you kind of spin it, you can kind of get him to kick a little bit. Same thing at the knee. He does have a single jointed knee. Oh, you can just hear that whir, and this joint on mine is really loose. Anyway, foot can go up that much, foot can go down that much, and then no ankle pivot. Oh, so I was trying to get him in a running pose, but because of the stiffness and how limited you are on the range of motion in the legs, and no pivoting, he wasn't going to have it. Hulk was just like, me no have running pose. So if y'all can get him into one, I'd love to see your photos on our social media pages. So the articulation, you could see that it was starting to get there, but not quite yet like we have now. So even though that aside, I'm letting it go because of just how beautiful it is. And for what we have, we do at least get a little bit, so we can at least get that Hulk smash look. So for an older figure, I'll forgive that. I'm just happy to have this in my collection. Now for some size comparisons. Here's our big beefy banner. Say that 3 times fast. Next to the Red Skull Build-A-Figure Wave, Captain America, the Stiltman Build-A-Figure Wave, the Hand Ninja, and then our 80 years Iron Man. And as you can see, putting the Hulk up next to his fellow Avengers, going to scale perfectly because we got our regular looking humans against, where was it? Loki says we have an army, and Tony's just like, we have a Hulk. That's just screams that scene. And then just for the Hand Ninja, I just threw him in there just for funsies to kind of show that you could put him in there and Hulk can just go puny. Oh, that was supposed to be bigger. That was supposed to be a bigger punch, but say lovey. I was going to make him punch him in the head. Anyway. As you can see, you're going to have a great time messing around with these figures, whether you want to do some photography with them, whether you want to just put them on a shelf and pose them, or do what I do where I try to get a good head knocking going around, and it turned out anticlimactic. Let me know what you guys think of these figures down in the comments below. This is a Hulk that you want in your collection. The other ones that I've seen from Hasbro, they look okay, but they're not on the scale that this Hulk is. And even though he does suffer from the old school articulation of the ball joints, kind of like the McFarlane ones that I complain about, and lack of kind of the more modern pivoting of like the ankle pivot, ab crunch, this is still something, the Hulk is supposed to be a big Mr. Beefy character, and that's what you get with this one. So even though, as I just said, what he lacks in articulation, you're going to get a beautiful figure that either is going to look great on a shelf if you just want to pose, or if you're like me and you like to do photography, you are going to get plenty of mileage and just great times with this figure. So as I said, if you guys want to pick them up, I would first and foremost support your local comic shop and see, fingers crossed, that someone has this in stock. If not, then, I really hope that you can find them for a good deal on the secondary market. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little gamma bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys can come to the channel and get notified. And we love to talk with y'all down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading. Photo slideshow coming up next. And happy hunting, true believers.